Less is more when it comes to free to play here in gacha games like Raid Shadow Legends. That's just one aspect of the message that I've been trying to communicate here on my YouTube channel for the last 20 months or so. It's part of what I call the free to play mentality. And the idea behind it is very simple. By focusing on the roster that you currently have and optimizing those champions and then getting creative with your problem solving, you can often achieve a very high degree of success without the need to chase the massive roster that these gacha games are trying to force you to chase through all of the FOMO tactics that they use. And hopefully this will allow you to leave the credit card in the wallet a little bit more frequently, spend a little bit less, and yet still achieve all of your goals in game. And if my videos haven't yet convinced you that this is possible, hopefully you've been paying attention to my performance here in the 2025 Hell Hades Free-to-Play Challenge, because I am currently ranked 14th out of the 55 content creators on the leaderboard, and we are only at the halfway point. This is day 46 out of our 90-day challenge. And the reason that this should be convincing is because I am slow rolling this account. I am using only the best, healthiest free-to-play practices that I know how to use in order to build this account for long-term success. And I am not sacrificing any of that simply to grab points in this challenge. And yet, I'm in the top 15, and it's only halfway through the challenge. So these practices work in the short term. They're going to work in the long term, and hopefully you can start employing them to improve your performance here in Raid, regardless of what kind of account you run. It doesn't matter if you're free to play or a spender. These tactics work for everybody. So in today's video, what I'm going to do is show you around my challenge account, show you where I am getting my points from, what successes I'm having, what challenges are still there for me to face, and what my strategy is moving forward, what I'm trying to plan to do in order to unlock those areas of content that still are beyond my reach. I am Colred. This is Colred Plays Raid Shadow Legends Free-to-Play Challenge. Let's get started. I just want to offer a quick apology for not having my Takeover Tuesday live stream this week. Life happens. There are reasons, but I plan to be back at it next Tuesday. That's March 4th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so I hope to see you then. In the meantime, if you would, please smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and consider joining our Discord community. Once again, I'm sorry to miss you this week, but I hope to catch you on a Tuesday real soon. Just want to start by talking about that less is more idea. So very quickly here, these are the community leaderboards. And as you can see, I am ranked 31st in the entire community. So this is not just the content creators, but all the people who are participating. You can also take a look at the creator leaderboards in just a second. But as you can see, I am ranked 210th in terms of development. Development is, or champion development, just means your number of 6 stars. I have 5 6-star champions. That's it. Just 5 at day 46 here. I've been getting about 1 every 10 days, but I got the 5th one relatively closely to the 4th one because I think that sometimes that's going to happen just based on the way that your chickens are being made, whether there's a champion training event going on or your sparring pit is maxing out some champions. So I did get the 5th champion like 4 days or 3 days after the 4th champion, but it hasn't turned into a lot of progress just yet, and I'll explain that when we get into the account. But so I am ranked 210th here, and yet everywhere else, I'm going to be much higher than 210th. In fact, if you look at Faction Wars, I'm 36th. Now, this is the I guess, juxtaposition that's probably the most revealing in terms of understanding how the free-to-play mentality and using these practices can be really effective with a small roster. I have 5 6-star champions, and yet I am 36th here out of, I don't know how many people are competing this year, but I'm 36th, base 210, 36th in terms of progression in Faction Wars, right? And if we look at that from a creator standpoint, let's see if we can just flip this over. You can see here I'm 14th out of the 55 content creators. I'm 10th in terms of Faction War progress, and again, 35th in terms of champion development. You don't need to develop a lot of champions, even for areas like Faction Wars. People think about Faction Wars like, oh, well, you need a whole bunch of 6-stars to do well in Faction Wars. No, you don't. You don't. In fact, in my last video, I showed how I pushed, I think it was Barbarians with all level 40 champions. So if you have a few level 40 champions, you can do really well in Faction Wars progression, get yourself a lot of materials for the Forge where you can get good perception gear, resilience gear, stuff like that. Now, again, I'm not struggling in Arena. Why would I? You only really need like 2 or 3 good champions on your Arena team, like built to 60, right? You don't need everybody built to 60 on an Arena team in order to be effective. It helps. I'm not saying it doesn't help, but for right now, you can see I'm in Gold 3. I'm very comfortably in Gold 3, and I'm ranked 21st out of 55, right? Again, all of these are compared to the 35th rank in terms of champion development. My current fastest champion, this is based on my gear. My gear has not been great for the champions that I own. I do have some good gear that's just sitting there waiting for the right champion, but for the champions that I'm actually running, I have sort of limited gear. They all need kind of the same stuff, which is unfortunate. So there's a lot of overlap there, and I just don't have as many copies as I'd like. So if I could improve this, I could improve everything else. If I could just get my fastest champion to like 250 and my other champions another 10 or 15 speed each, I think I would really push all of these areas of progress we're going to be talking about, but I'm still doing pretty well. I am 16th in 3v3 Arena with 5 6-star champions. Yeah, so you don't need a ton of champions to do pretty well there. I am only in Bronze 2, but I'm comfortably there. And as you can see, a lot of people are not focusing on that. You can get progress in every area of the game with a small roster. Normal campaign progression. This has actually changed over time, which is weird because I thought this was just based on when you finished it. And I was like I was the last person, I think, to complete normal campaign. I don't know why I've moved up to 31st. That's just strange because my points haven't changed, right? But I am now 31st. I've started to get a few points in Nightmare Campaign. There's still plenty of points to get there if I want them. I've been looking for resources. I've been looking specifically for like Void Shards and Sacred Shards for the next Fusion event that'll be probably coming in about 2 or 3 weeks. So I do want to take advantage of that, and this is one of those places where I can get some shards. So that is why I'm doing Nightmare Campaign, not for the points in the challenge, although it doesn't hurt. Certainly doesn't hurt. Demon Lord progress, you can see I am up to 5th. I've had a single key at 22.8 million in Nightmare. My average key is actually probably closer to around 15 or 16 million. So I do have a 3-key Nightmare most days. On this day, I had a 2-key Nightmare, but it still took me 3 keys because my first key of the day was like a 10 million key. So that's just the way it worked. Actually, no, on that day, I'm sorry. My other one was like a 15 million, and I had like 37 million out of the 39 that you needed. So I needed to use a third key. That's what happened there. I think the other thing was actually happening today. Now, Hydra progress, I haven't done this for the week yet, so this should go up. Chimera progress, this wasn't recorded last week. This should have been a lot higher. I was over 20 million, but we'll see what happens this week. I'll make sure to run my optimizer so we get all the points that we need there. Dragon, I am ranked 26th. This is less because I'm doing poorly here. I'm not doing poorly here, but just because I haven't felt a need to push past 20. This is the best place to farm, 5 and 6-star speed gear and stuff like that. So I don't really need to push past stage 20. Remember what I said about free-to-play practices, right? Doing what's healthy for the account. I could get points here. I could probably push all the way up to maybe 24 if I wanted to and get a whole bunch of extra points, but there's no reason for me to. There's literally no reason right now. Like that would just be for my ego or whatever. Eventually I'll do it. I'll do it because I want to get into hard mode dragon, and I do think that's the easiest hard mode dungeon to farm. But right now I'm focused on other things, and so I'm just farming stage 20. Ice Golem is stage 18. I have a champion that's going to let me push to stage 20 there, but he's not 6-star yet, so we'll talk about that a little bit more. Fire Knight, I'm doing okay. I haven't really focused on Fire Knight. I'm just farming stage 16. I haven't tried to push this in a while. I might be able to push it, but I don't think I'd be able to get to 20. So if I can't get to 20, I may as well just farm stage 16. Spider, you can see I'm at stage 20. This is not a full auto farm, so I'm actually not real. I wanted to get to 20 and see if I could full auto farm it. But again, the same champion that's going to help me in Ice Golem is going to help me in Spider. I just need to get him to 6 stars. He might be next. He might be next. We'll have to see. Minotaur 29 doesn't matter. Arcane Keep, all the keeps don't matter. As you can see, I've got them all at 20. They're all full auto farms. That's all I care about. I don't care how long they take because honestly, I don't need to get in here all that often. And when I do, I know I can complete them, and it just takes a little bit of time. Iron Twins, I've been able to get one stage to 8. At stage 9, you get rewards. You get like, I think there's Soulstones at stage 9, and I want those rewards, but I can't really push this. I need a decreased speed champion at some point, hopefully. I don't even know if I have one. I might have one on my roster, but I'll have to look into that. I'm not real worried about Iron Twins because I think of that more as sort of late mid-game anyway. So I get in here occasionally if I want some soul coins, but I don't think it's a real efficient place to spend my time. So it's a little bit weird. As a free-to-play player, you want souls, and I've been struggling with souls. But in today's video, we're actually going to pull some Soulstones, so you can stick around for that. And we've got some there. Sand Devil, I'm been able to get to stage 9, but I'm farming stage 7. Shogun's Grove, I'm able to get to stage 11. This has been a while. I haven't pushed past this. I probably could, but again, I'm probably farming like stage. I don't even know what farm. I might be farming stage 11. And then the event dungeon, I've been able to push to 18. I want to get to 20. But I really need, I think, one more 6-star champion in order to be able to do that. Those are my areas of progress. Let's jump into the game, and I'll show you how I've made that progress. The healthy free-to-play practices. I bought my mine right away, right? So I got masteries on my first 2 champions, got my starter to 60, got Alice to 60, bought my gem mine, and then I waited a few days. I judged whether or not I was going to go for the next fusion. I decided not to go for the Esme fusion, and I instantly unlocked all of the Guardian rings. So this is what's generating a lot of my chickens right now, right? Everything else I've been saving. So I'm saving shards. I'm only pulling them when it's reasonable to pull them. I'm saving soulstones. I'm only pulling them when it's reasonable to pull them. It's reasonable today, so I will pull them. I have saved, energy and stuff in my mailbox. So I'm trying to do all of the things that I should be doing. I'm playing all of the areas. I'm playing arena. You can see I am in gold 3 right now. There's a freebie right here. I am playing tag team arena. I am playing faction crypts every day. I'm playing Doom Tower every day. I'm doing all of the areas of the game that I can in terms of my resources and my time. Remember, I'm trying to spend around 3 hours a day in game here. I would say recently, this past week, I've spent a lot more than that. I've probably gotten up close to like 4.5 hours a day on average, just because I had a lot of energy to burn and there were a lot of tournaments that I was invested in. But today I've played very little, and I think it's probably going to be like that. It's going to be some days are more active and some days are less active. And I'm hoping to still average somewhere between 3 and 4 hours a day. I don't want to overshoot that. Otherwise, the slow roll becomes like still a slow roll, but like a really, really grindy slow roll. And I don't want to be playing 6-8 hours a day. I just don't have the time in my life to do that. So I'm trying to represent this as reasonably as I can for, I wouldn't say a casual gamer, because 3 to 4 hours is still a lot of time in game, but recognize that you don't have to do 10, 12 hours a day in a game to really achieve, right? You can do this by being smart, making sure you're hitting all of your quests, doing all of your dailies, doing all of your advanced quests. You want to get all of this stuff done every day. Get your weeklies done. Get your monthlies done. Get those extra shards. Get the extra, chickens up here. Get the extra books. Get all of that so that you're not leaving resources on the table. That's basically what we're trying to do. So let's go back to the roster now. And again, I'll show you, these are all of the champions that I have currently. Now, I am focused, let's see, on these 60s. So Alice the Wanderer, Geomancer. Yes, Geomancer is a very lucky pull early in an account, but you're going to have somebody. You're going to have somebody to focus on. What you're going to find, and what I've been finding actually is, while Geomancer is extremely good and he's really versatile, I don't use him in every solution. There are solutions that I could do without him, like that he's part of, and there are solutions where he makes things a little bit easier, but he's not necessary. And then there are a few solutions where he's just awesome. He's just really awesome. So, for instance, Clan Boss, he's helping me out in Clan Boss quite a bit. But so Geomancer was a focus as soon as I pulled him. He was my 3rd 6-star. My 4th 6-star was Anchorite, because I needed a Spirit Affinity 60, and I figured he's got very few books, and I do have a plan for him. He's got a buff extension. Then I just 6-starred Tagore, so he was my 5th 6-star, and that has helped me out a lot because he's got his shield is based on his HP, and his heal is based on his HP, so his heal got bigger and his shields got bigger. He also got faster, by the way. I didn't realize this, but he picks up like 7 speed when you get him to 6-star. So that actually helped a lot as well. So he's become a real key component of my team. And then obviously, like I said, I had Athel. Those are my 5 6-stars. Now, let me explain my mentality about my roster as a whole here. I have a bunch of 40s. When I get an epic, they become a faction champion, a faction crypt champion. It doesn't matter if they're trash. They don't become chickens. I'm not trying to use them as chickens to get more 6 stars. I don't need more 6 stars. I don't have any epic tomes. I don't have any legendary tomes. I think I have 1 legendary tome. I don't have the resources to optimize more champions. So Alice, full masteries. Geo, full masteries. Full masteries on Anchorite. Almost full masteries on Tagore, full mastery. All of my 60s are full masteries. All of my 60s are full book, right? Like I've been able to save a couple of books in some places, you know, and that's fine if you can save books in places where it's not critical. Like damage on Tagore's A1 isn't critical. I was able to save 2 books there. In addition, I've booked Ugo. I saved 1 book on her A1. When I booked Anchorite, unfortunately, the first 4 books went into his A1, so I couldn't save any books. But honestly, he's only 7 books overall anyway, so I was still able to book him fully, right? Now, the next champion that I'm probably going to end up booking is Morag Bronzelock, and I'm trying to book Crypt-King Graal. So these are the 2 champions I'm investing in next, and then maybe Ugo. Ugo's less critical at 60, but I could get her to 60. It would be helpful to get a banner on her, get a little bit more speed and more accuracy. But honestly, she's doing great at 50. I don't really need her at 60. Now, what's my plan long term? Well, my plan is to keep pushing Clan Boss. Right? If we look here, let's see, how did I do today on my first key? 13.75 million. So like I said, I have a comfortable 3 key here on Nightmare on all affinities. It looks like sometimes on the low end, I get around 12.5 to 13 million. And on the high end, you saw I top over 20 million. But consistently, my average has been about 15 or 16 million. And that's a nice 3 key for Nightmare. And then I can still get 1 key into Brutal. I can't 1 key Brutal, but I can probably get like this Master Chest here. I'm getting close to 1 keying Brutal. I think it's possible that I could 1 key Brutal. Again, I got 20 million on Nightmare. So it might be possible to get 21 million on Brutal. But I'm not really worried about that just yet because I have a speed tune in mind. Every time I 6-star a champion, I'm looking for a new skill to add to the roster. Alice was a lockout. She was my campaign farmer. Athel had the A1 weaken. Geomancer's Geomancer, right? He does the damage with the reflect and the HP burn. He also can steal buffs, and he has 100% turn meter decrease on his A2. It's actually a steal, right? Let's see. I'm sorry, it's the A3. Turn meter's on the A3. Right. So fully depletes the target's turn meter. So he's got that. Anchorite, first of all, AoE A1. I had him in a day set for a while. I put him in a stun set a couple of times. He's in a stun set right now. AoE A1 stun set. He's got a mini cleanse and a buff extension. And he's got a really big heal. I needed the heal. I needed the buff extension. I needed the mini cleanse. Tagore has the increased speed. He's got the AoE revive, increased speed here, AoE revive. Ugo's got the block buffs and the decreased defense, plus the mini cleanse and the heal. Morag Bronzelock has an ally attack, has an AoE strengthen. Crypt-King Graal has an AoE HP burn and an AoE freeze, and a decreased attack on the A1. It didn't have a decreased attack. So all of the champions that I'm investing in bring unique skills to the overall roster. And my plan moving forward for Clan Boss is I have 2 potential Clan Boss speed tunes. Okay. If you don't know, with an increased speed buff and 1 buff extender or a second increase speed buff, you can create a 2-to-1 speed tune for Clan Boss. So right now I'm thinking Tagore and Anchorite give me a 2-to-1 speed tune. That's not as valuable with Geomancer because Geomancer does most of his damage based on his reflect. But more uptime on debuffs is a good thing. So we'll be able to do that. And that includes the HP burn and the weaken, right? And then obviously more hits is good as well. So those 3 champions are going to be part of the speed tune. The 4th champion I'm thinking for the speed tune is going to be Morag Bronzelock, because not only does she have an ally attack, which is going to be more damage for everybody, but she's nice and tanky. right? And this is going to work really well with this kind of tanky team that we're going with Tagore and Geomancer, and she's going to add tankiness to the overall team with a strengthen buff, right? So now that strengthen buff is getting out there, and it's getting extended by Anchorite. That's going to extend the life of my team. That means Geomancer is going to be hit more times. That means we're going to get more damage. Now, for the 5th champion, I have a few different options. I'm not 100% sure about where I'm going to go. I was talking about, 2 different speed tunes. So I could put in Ugo. Ugo gives me a decreased defense, also gives me a cleanse and some additional heals, which is nice. The cleanse could be really nice because I could potentially, with the 2 cleanses of Anchorite and Ugo, make it full affinity friendly if I can figure out the speed tune. One will cleanse the slow and one will cleanse the stun, right? That would be pretty nice. Now, another option is to keep Alice the Wanderer in there because she's got a Brimstone and she's my hardest hitting champion. And she also, with her A1, because you turn off all her other skills, she only uses her A1. With her A1, she can help remove the clan boss's increased attack buff. That also actually adds survivability to the team. So right now, that is sort of the first team that I'm thinking of, is going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No decreased defense. I've tried it out, by the way. I've just put these, they're not speed tuned. I've put these champions together. And when I put in Anchorite and take out Athel, the damage is close to the same. It's only about, it's like less than 1 million less. So less than 1 million drop off. Of course, affinity does matter. But I haven't really dropped in terms of damage. So I do think I can just pull Athel and put in Anchorite, and that's going to be fine. So I need to get Morag to 60, but I also need to get Crypt-King Graal to 60. And we'll have to see what happens there. So I could leave it in Athel. I could leave in Alice. The other option is actually to go with another champion who I only currently have at 40. Where is she? Here she is. Dawncaller Sabbatha. So I could potentially put in Dawncaller Sabbatha in place of Ugo or Alice, so pull them. So the team would be Geomancer, Anchorite, Tagore, Morag, Dawncaller Sabbatha. And this would be a very tanky 2-to-1 speed tune, right? Why would I bring in Dawncaller Sabbatha? Well, because of this. She brings increased defense on a 3-turn cooldown. Now, the increased attack would help a little bit with damage because like Tagore's damage is based on attack. And I think Dawncaller Sabbatha's damage is based on attack. Is it? Yes, it is. But in addition, she has a heal on her A1. So again, at a 2-to-1 speed tune, she's going to be bringing a lot of heals in addition to the heals that we're getting from Tagore. And then she's got another revive. I don't really care about this. But basically, she's going to be putting out additional heals on her A1. Also with Morag, right? She'll be part of the ally attack. And this would be really nice because I don't have an increased attack in other places. So if I could get her in the right speed tune, she could help me in arena. She could help me do damage to bosses in waves and all sorts of stuff. Provide that additional backup kind of revive for Tagore in case he goes down because Ugo's revive is so tricky. And so that's another option. That would take a little bit longer. I'm not quite there yet. But potentially I have a very good 2-to-1 speed tune that can either go kind of damage heavy with Alice or go really tanky with Dawncaller. Those are my options. And again, this is something that I've been putting together for weeks, right? I've been planning this and I've been moving my roster in that direction with the flexibility of recognizing that if I pull a good champion, that might change my plan. And I did pull Crypt-King Graal. Now, I have to figure out how to fit him into this overall picture. If I'm focusing on Clan Boss, he's not high priority, but he does 2 things really that I need. The first is an AoE HP burn. That's going to help me massively in Spider, right? That's going to help me massively in places like Ice Golem. It's going to help me in Doom Tower Waves. It's going to help me in all sorts of places. And it's backed up by this second ability, which places a freeze debuff for 1 turn on targets already under HP burn. So you land the HP burns and then you can get freezes. This can help me in Bommel, right? HP burns are generally bad, but freezes are generally good. So potentially it can help me in Bommel. It can definitely help me in wave content. It can certainly help me in Spider. It's going to help me solve Spider and a bunch of other things. Plus that decreased attack can help me against Dragon, against any boss in Doom Tower. So I have to figure out how to fit him into it. Right now, I think he can do the job at 50. So my goal is to probably book him out and get him geared nicely. Right now, he's in a little bit of accuracy and a little bit of regen. Get him booked where get him built where he needs to be to help me start to solve those problems and keep building the other champions for Clan Boss. Because I think while Clan Boss is the most important, you don't want to sacrifice progress in other areas to Clan Boss if your Clan Boss progress isn't really visible, if you don't have a plan for making significant progress. I'm at a 3-key nightmare. So really, unless I can get to a 2-key or a 1-key nightmare, I would rather actually invest in Crypt-King Graal, who can give me other solutions in other places, right? He could potentially help me with Event Dungeon. There's not that much time left on the Event Dungeon. I think there's only like 8 or 9 days. We have, 7.5 days. So I would like to be able to push this a little bit and get some good pinpoint gear before this goes away. And he could potentially help me with that because both the HP burn and the freeze could really help me handle the ads. Of course, the problem with the ads being that I think there's a block debuffs there right now. So Graal can't really help me with that. But maybe I could get him in a stun set. I get Anchorite in a stun set. 2 stun sets can act like a little bit of a, crowd control. It's going to be some RNG base until I get pushed past where I am now. I don't have to worry about the same stuff. But this is what I mean when I say less is more, right? Let's go ahead and look at some of the solutions that I've had. All right, let's start with Doom Tower. So here is, Griffin Boss can be kind of tricky. We just go pure damage, right? Try not to bring in a lot of turn meter decrease, too many buffs, right? You're focused on just doing damage to the boss. Again, this boss turns your debuffs on you, but I want to run this full auto, so I don't want to like speed tune it too much. So champions that can just deal damage are highly valuable. Again, you can see everybody is neutral or strong affinity, right? I have Tagore there to give us a lot of stability. I don't have anybody in a shield set here, although I've been using shield and bolster sets. Let's see about Dark Fae. All I had to do was get past Dark Fae. I'm not really farming Dark Fae yet because farming lethal gear at 4 stars isn't as worthwhile. Bommel is a little bit tricky. I'm trying to use Master Butcher here. That's why I've 5-starred him. And I'm close. I'm close, but I'm not quite there yet. We'll see how many days it takes me to get past that. Scarab Boss is pretty easy. It's basically Alice. It's Alice. And Alice, you can see, has just a little bit of Immortal. That's all she has. And so what I did, actually, it seems like I swapped her ring for something else, probably for Bommel. But I have a Blood Shield ring with a little bit of regen, right? And then she does have the Life Drinker Mastery. And those are enough to give her sustain to push past the Scarab Boss. She's strong affinity for this particular rotation. She doesn't take a lot of damage, right? She resists a lot of the effects. The boss weak hits into her, and she just kind of works her way up. The other champions are just here because they have shields. We have another Blood Shield ring, I think, on Shield Guard, and this guy, what's his name? He has a natural shield on his A1, Eflin the Golden. So when you use his A1, he gets a shield. So that's why I put him in there. But at level 40, he doesn't really do anything. And so this is just basically Alice soloing this. Again, if you're looking at builds and you're thinking, why would you put Alice in Immortal? Like, well, it's got the stats she needs. It's got speed. It's got crit rate. Got speed, crit rate, and accuracy. HP doesn't hurt. She's decently tanky as a legendary champion, right? You can see her defense is actually pretty good for an attack-based champion because she's a little bit of a support, a hybrid. The rest of it I just need is accuracy, right? I've got defense on her chest plate right now. She still hits really hard, but she's got some survivability built into her. I don't really have a crit damage amulet yet, so there's still ways to push her damage, which I would like to do. I'd like some speed on her banner as well. So there are still ways to improve this team. You can see here, Tagore is just fast and tanky. Really good HP pool for early games. 61,000 HP, 2,300 defense almost, 221 speed. And he's bringing that heal on the 3-turn cooldown and the revive when I need it. This guy is doing a lot of work for me. Anchorite in a stun set, relatively fast at 214, right? Doesn't need any accuracy on his kit. And you can see I'm not maxed out here yet on and the level of these gears. So he can still get pushed. But again, decent HP pool at over 50, almost 53K, 214 speed. Ugo, right? She's only 50, but again, 29,000 HP, almost 2K defense, 211 speed, and 230 accuracy to land her debuff. 230 accuracy is enough for all of the level 20 dungeons, in fact. All of level 25, I think, dungeon. So that's where we're getting our value. And if we go to the dungeons, you know, like I can show you the teams. The teams are pretty simple and straightforward here. Using primarily the HP burn, a lot of tankiness, a lot of survivability. None of these runs are fast, but they have a high degree of success, right? Anchorite is weak affinity here, but he's in the stun set for the waves. That helps. He gives additional healing, which helps. He buff extends, which helps. There's nothing bad about his kit, right? I don't really have to worry about him being weak affinity here. That's fine. I've got the Reviver. I've got 3 heals, 2 cleanses. If we look at Dragon's Lair, Dragon 20, again, it's about a 3-minute clear. We swap out Anchorite, bring in Athel. Don't need Anchorite here, although the extra cleanse wouldn't hurt, the extra heals wouldn't hurt, but I'm burning through the boss's purple shield, so I'm not really getting stunned, and so I didn't need Anchorite here. Fire Knight Castle, stage 16. This is a slow farm. It's about 3.5 to 4 minutes. But you can see using Morag here at level 50. So again, you don't need everybody at level 60 to get these done, right? Morag brings that ally attack, but she also brings a nice strengthen buff. I'm not turn meter controlling the boss, so when we get hit, the strengthen buff is up, and then she counterattacks when somebody is hit under a strengthen buff that she places. So she actually does a double hit on her A1 that breaks the shield a little bit. So it's really easy to get to the next shield break, and then Tagore just heals us up, and Ugo cleanses us. So, like, this team never is at risk of dying. Just clears 16. I think I could probably push pretty far here. But stage 17, last time I tried it, was really tricky because it's force affinity, which means it's bad affinity for my DPS. But I think with Morag now, I could probably do it. Sand Devil, stage 9. You know, bring back Geo. Again, Geo's not factoring in every single team, but he's factoring in several teams. And he's usually the best option when I have him in the teams. He's not always necessary. So if you're like, well, yeah, you've got a small roster, but you've got Geo, be creative, right? If you had somebody else here, I'm sure I could find a solution without Geo. But Geo's good. So you use him, right? And you're going to get a good champion somewhere. So you invest in them. Phantom Shogun, 11. Yeah, I farm 11. This is pretty easy. Not a problem. You know, another quick look at the roster, you might say, you know, what about Sun Wukong? Why aren't you using him more? The only place I really use him now is in Arena. Anytime I need a buff strip, not a block buff, because I have that from Ugo, right? So there's overlap here between Ugo and Sun Wukong. And Sun Wukong is also a damage dealer, but I have like 3 different damage dealers who damage in different ways. So I can't book him. I don't have great gear for him to do both jobs. And he does the job fine at level 50. So I'm just leaving him at level 50 for right now. And I don't use him all that much. I'm sure once his account grows down the line, he could become very useful. But he definitely isn't a priority right now. Again, if I can get value out of a level 50, I will. I would like to improve his gear a little bit to make him a little bit faster. Because right now he's falling off. He's at 183. He used to be like the second fastest champion on my roster. He hasn't increased his speed in a long time, and now everybody else has passed him by. You can see my Alice is 200. My Athel is 206. You know, so everybody's faster now than him, except for Morag, who's still decently slow. Yeah, that's it. So before the 90 days, I think I'll have Crypt-King Graal 60. Morag 60. I might have Dawncaller, Sabbather 60. I expect to be able to get like a 3-key Ultra Nightmare and hopefully a 1-key Nightmare. That'd be nice. I don't know if I could speed tune that 2-to-1 for both difficulties the same way, but hopefully I can do that. I do think that Spider 25 is I'm going to be in hard mode Spider relatively soon. As soon as I get Graal all maxed out and everybody the way I want them in terms of speed. I should be able to clear 25, no problem. You know, Dragon's Lair, I'm going to shoot for as high a hard mode as I can. So hopefully I can get all the way to 10, but maybe I'll only get to 6. 6 would be fine for farming gear. Yeah, everything else is less worrisome. Again, Iron Twins. I'd like to get to stage 9s, get these stones here. I could get to stage 12. That'd be really nice as well, but I don't expect to. But if I could get every affinity to stage 9, I think that would be great. Oh, faction crypts. You can see how many stars I have. And again, I'm going to get more here today. I'm going to be able to push past this. And a lot of it's just about building food, right? To use with your good champions. Like if you get a really good faction crypt rare, like here, I got one, he's a reviver. So I'm going to use him, right? Going to keep him in that roster permanently so he's not being turned into a chicken. But these guys are being turned into chickens, right? At some point, I just get them up to 30 or maybe 40 and then use them to push, you know, put some good gear on them if you can. If you can't, just see how far you can get. And yeah, I'm starting to get some decent materials here for the forge. And that's going to be a big focus for me moving forward. All right. So let's go ahead and pull some soul stones. Real quickly, I did actually get a 1-star soul on Athel yesterday. So luckily, just finally, this was only the second soul I've seen in the store. You can see I have Ugo, Anchorite, Geomancer, and Athel. I did have to pull 11 of my Immortal Soul Stones in order to get enough resources to purchase a 1-star soul for Crypt-King Graal. So this is one of the things where you're thinking about free to play. Normally you would just save all of your stones, but if there's value to be had, right? And that first soul or first star gives you 7,500 HP on a legendary. And that was just so valuable. That's actually what allowed me to do stage 20 of Spider. Without that, I would not have been able to complete that stage 20. So I thought that that was good value. Otherwise, I wanted to save here for the 2x event. And I was saving, like I could have pulled them yesterday, but I wanted to wait until the clan v clan. So hopefully I can help my clan win here. So we're going to go ahead and pull these 15 souls. My wish list is, as you can see, yeah. I'd like, you know, like a good 4-star soul on somebody. That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. Usable. Okay, let's go ahead and we'll do the 10 pull first. Let's do the 10 pull. Come on. Show me something on my list. Show me something on my list. Anything. Athel, there's the 1-star that I just invested in. Okay, so Odachi 1-star is not awful. That Athel 1-star is painful because I literally just traded 11 stones for that. But okay. Now we'll pull the 5 that remain. Hopefully we can find at least something like a 2 or 3-star soul on somebody usable. Come on. Double chance of 5 and 6-star souls. Here we go. Here we go. Nope. Bergoth. I don't have him. Another epic. Come on. How about an epic I own? Yes. Come on. Come on. Somebody good. 4-star rearguard sergeant. That would actually be awesome if I owned rearguard. All right. Two more stones. Come on. Here we go. Somebody good. Nope. Last one. It's the last one, the winner. Epic. Wow. 20,000 tournament points. That was nice. That was really nice. 20,000 points for CVC. And it's Broadmaw who I can actually fuse, right? So this is a usable 6-star soul. Oddly, I wasn't really planning on fusing Broadmaw during this this event, but I do have all the fragments for these 2 champions. So if I go here, you can see I have the 100 fragments for Huntress and Bloodhorn. So I will probably go for that during the next fusion event. During the champion chase, I'll go for Broadmaw. Broadmaw is going to help at least in faction crypts, but because he's got a 6-star soul, I might use him in a lot of places. Doesn't have an awesome kit, but he does have a turn meter fill, which is nice because I don't have that currently. Increased crit rate as well. So it could be usable in arena. We'll have to see. It's kind of interesting. That's kind of interesting. Okay, so that is it for the tour around this Hell Hades challenge count for this year. Let me know what you think. less is more. You believe me? Or do you think, no, hey man, you got Geo and that's the only reason less is more? Some people might say that. I expect some people will say that. I don't think that's true. But obviously, you know, when you are trying to do the best things you can, save your shards for good events, invest in, you know, the tournaments and events that are going to get you shards, that are going to get you stones, that are going to get you gems and energy and all those things that you need in order to grow an account. Occasionally, you're eventually going to hit on something. It's not luck. It's just consistency. That's my view on it. But again, let me know what your feelings are in the comments. Okay, that's it for me today. Thanks so much for hanging out. I have been Colred. I will see you in another video soon.